Good morning. These are the announcements for the week of October 23rd. We get to give out our spirit banners for the first time this year. Great job, everybody, dressing up for Camo Day. Could hardly see you at all. We have two banners. One's going to go to Mrs. Metzger's class, and the other one goes to Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Bingham's class. You did a super job, and it was fun. Thanks, everyone. Here's our 3R names for this week. Mrs. Vilhauer, send Cord down to the office. Mrs. Jonkus, Izzy. Mrs. Nichols, Brooke. Mrs. Bailey, Maddie. Mrs. Bartlett, Eliza. Mrs. Farnsworth, Caleb L. Mrs. Manchester, Maya L. Mrs. Metzger, McKenna. Miss Kipko, Lily. Mrs. Schellert, Dylan. Mrs. Bartlett, Mason. Mrs. Peterson and Bingham, L.E.H. Mrs. Celine, Juliana. Mrs. Vilhauer, Jacob. Mrs. Farnsworth, Cody K. Mrs. Bartlett, Sophia K. Mrs. Metzger, Brooklyn. Mrs. Schellert, Jasmine. Mrs. Bartlett, Tegan. Miss Kipko, Ireland. Mrs. Bailey, Julia. Mrs. Leach gave this in Mrs. Celine's class to Penny. And Mrs. Nichols, Carson. And finally, Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Bingham send down Alexia. Have a great week, everybody. Remember that we smile and we always say thank you.